of people that I hear talking about you don't need money to invest in real estate. And sure, you don't. There's programs that you don't. I'm of the belief that you should have your own skin in the game and you should have money to invest in real estate. For you to have money to invest in real estate, guess what you have to be? You have to become an absolute saver. You now, the thing that I think people need to realize is this isn't forever, right? Just like we got ourselves to cold calling 6 hours a day, which I don't see new agents doing. That was hard. That wasn't forever. That was just to elevate ourselves to a different level. I got to the point, Arthur got to the point where we literally didn't go out to eat at all. Spent $0, like $0. And if you calculate and write down everything you spend, we got into the habit of saving money. And just as an example, this cup of coffee I just made at home, it's a Starbucks cup of coffee. We'll say this coffee probably cost me, I'm gonna just say it cost me about $1, give or take, probably less. If I went to Starbucks, this coffee is $5, probably more because there's cream in it, so it's not just black. So we'll call it five, but we'll call it five. Five coffees, 3 times a day. That's $15, right? 7 times a week. I was a barber, so I got to pull my calculator out. We're not all geniuses like my beautiful brother, but let's see here.
Just your
Times
daughter's
three. So 15, and then you're doing that 6 days a week. That's $90 a week times four. It doesn't seem like much, but that's $360 a month times 12. That's $4,320. Okay. Then you have your cell phone bill. Let's say your and I know this could be like elementary for some of you, but you can do this at every single level. Take money you spend on your kids, take money you spend on your loved ones, take money you spend on vacations, right? We got to the point where we used to never go on vacations just to save money, right? So that's like 5,000 every single time. So 4,000 in coffees. I took my cell phone bill from I figured out how to get it down by $100 by switching carriers to some crappier carrier that I've never lost service with unless I'm in the White Mountains, which it's like everybody almost loses service there. That would be $100 a month I saved. So that's another 1,000. That money became the 20% down payment for my first condo, which I'm talking to you from now, right? The savings became bigger. We ended up doing the same thing on a bigger scale, right? Where we got to the point where that 20% down payment became 200,000 on our $1 million building. Then it became 200,000 on another $1 million building. Then it became cash. If anybody brings me a deal, Arthur and I for a lot of deals can buy them in cash. And I'm not telling you that as like, whoa, this is amazing, because it is amazing. But the crazy thing is, if you really pay attention to how much money you have made over the years, and more than likely you have spent the same amount of money, meaning, nobody was paying attention to me when I was driving a 1999 Cadillac SLS. I loved that car, but that car was $4,000. My car now is $50,000, but I didn't buy that car when I could, right? So like it's almost like you're stretching the pain of acting broke for a much longer period to the point where you don't have to. Because what are we really talking about? We're talking about securing yourself and your family's future, right? So like now, instead of if imagine if I spent all that money and I never bought a building. Well, now that I bought a building and the market changed, we have buildings that bring in 20,000 in gross revenue a month. And that's simply because we were able to save. And I think a lot of people need to focus on those two things at every level. It's like always increase your financial thermostat, right? If you make 100,000, how can you get yourself to believe you can make 200? If you make 500, how can you get yourself to believe you can make 1 million? And and then when you make that million, how can you not spend 800,000 of that? Now, I know it sounds crazy sick. Like, what are you talking about? I'm going to get 1 million. I'm going to go live a good life and show off. But if you don't, you will get to the point where, hey, you can wake up and you have complete financial freedom, and there's probably, what an opportunity that is. But the most amazing thing about that is it's literally comes from maybe not spending $5 on your coffee, maybe watching your finances. Maybe your coffee is, I used to pay, I got to the point where I was paying $150, $190 to go to this gym. So then I was like, okay, that's crazy. $20 a month at Planet Fitness. Then I said to myself, okay, that's even crazy because I never even go to this gym. I'll just work out in my living room, right? So there's things you could do to save money. And if you focus on that, and if you increase your financial thermostat, and if you really lock in on your savings, and if you have a family, when I did this, I was single, but if you have a family, you have to talk to your loved ones. This is the plan, because you cannot do it if it's a husband, wife, or brother, brother, whatever the situation is. You cannot do it on your own. If you're trying to do this and save money and increase your financial thermostat, and your most significant person in your life is not on the same page, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. You have to get people involved. You have to get them on calls like this.
This
You
is
have to you have to talk to them. I go with through my spreadsheets. I don't want to share them yet and with everybody, but I would go through my spreadsheets with my family all the time. I do it with Julian every single month. You have
Oh,
to
wow.
you have to start you have to start doing that, because this is about building a legacy and living a good life, right? Now we do go on vacation as a family. We'll all go to Costa Rica, right? You're doing it to enjoy the money, but you're also doing it to secure the money. And if you could do that, my wish for all of you is like you never have to work and you're so loaded. You just wake up and you say to yourself, I have nothing to do.
this is so critical because I think what I want to point out is like number one, change, like we said, change is hard, but I don't want you guys to gloss over this, no matter where you are in your income level, because we actually did this to get to where we were. And then if you know real estate market, we went from selling 6 million homes as a country in 2021 to 4 million homes. And I know a lot of real estate agents that are struggling and got out of the business. David and I have cut so much expense, you wouldn't even imagine. That's today. That's today. So like this never ends. And it's not forever. Life is cycle. It ebbs and flows, right? Peaks and valleys. But the goal is that every time we grow, like David said, the rubber band, when we fall back down, we don't go back to zero. So we keep growing and growing and growing. But
Mhm.
all of these lessons you have to continue learning over and over again. And just what I
Mhm.
said earlier, I didn't even talk to David about this, but what he's saying right now is your desire to make fast money now and enjoy your life now is preventing you from making big money later in the future. And there's so many opportunities that you guys can capitalize on that you like if we didn't do that, we would not have a four family or a three family or a flip that we bought in cash. But because we did that, we can have all those things. And although like I wrote down what Mark said the way he said it, but basically people overestimate what we can do in 1 year and greatly underestimate what we could do in 5 years. And that's so important because every one of you can have a portfolio of real estate. You could have seven.
There's a man, yeah. I'm gonna see.
You want to add on, Sirhat?
Sorry.
I thought you were trying to talk. You could jump in.
No, no, no.
Share something good now that we got you. Let's make
No,
it cheer.
yeah, I got my first sale from a transfer center, which was funny. Every day I live in Southborough, so I go to transfer center for recycle and everything. So everyone knows there. I talked to at least two neighbors there. So finally, one of them pulled the trigger, and I sold them a multifamily in next time in Framingham. So that was my lead generation story
That's
last month.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's great. And it shows you guys all that you could lead gen everywhere all the time. That's a great share. Leo wrote, income does not fall far from one's level of personal development. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I love that. Jim Rohn has a lot of great quotes like that. He's like the OG. And I think it's so important. You know what I think about is like athletes, they make a ton of money. And realtors and loan officers and any entrepreneur in real estate, we have times where we make a ton of money, But what we forget during those times is that may not last forever. So you don't want to spend, you don't want your income to be your best year ever. What you actually want is your passive income to pay all of your bills so you never have to work again. And then you're free. But now, what I thought I would do if I was free or ever got there was retire. But what happens is life actually becomes so much more fun because you get to do what you want to do, what you love to do. You know, whether it's teaching, coaching, golfing, selling real estate. Some of you might realize, hey, I love selling real estate now that I have all these investment properties and I don't have to. Like, I literally enjoy negotiating and helping people, right? But it becomes more fun because now you're doing it because you love it and you don't have to do it because just to make money, right? And then when you get to that level, commission breath and all of these issues, they absolutely go away. So great share, Dave. Thanks for going in. And that's so true. We actually did that. And I'm just gonna go back to the other thing we mentioned earlier is like you cannot change your life until you change what you do every single day. We want you guys to all think about these things, but actually go back and make changes because that's the hard part. Most people make 100 grand, their parents made 100 grand, and they'll kids will make 100 grand, just as a rough example. Whatever that number is, it could be way lower or way higher. But they don't grow beyond that. The reason they don't grow is because they don't have a growth plan, right? So David and I have strategically had to do these things and actually take action. So it's not just learning, it's action, action, action. I couldn't be that like over your head big enough. Like if you're not taking action, you're not getting rid of your circle of friends. Like some of us have people in our lives we have to get rid of, as terrible as it sounds. Like we did it. Those kids on the Project Stoop that I said rethink and grow rich and we're gonna own buildings are probably still on that Project Stoop. But I'm not there with them. Like we had to leave them. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And we had
And
to make our own coffee for a while and drink water from a tap. But it looks like I got a bunch of hands that are raised, which I love. So I'm just gonna call. Let's go with David, then Leo, then Ilya in that order.
the only thing I want to add to that, which is like not numbers based, it's more personal life based. I understand that a lot of people struggle with many different things, right? Confidence. For instance, we lost our mom when we were 9 and 7 years old to breast cancer. I had personally the worst relationships you could find. I'm like the bad relationship magnet king. I used to get in trouble all the time, like jail trouble. I used to get just there is things in life, depression. Imagine just being depressed and sad and nobody knows why. I've watched my dad go through this before he passed. The thing about this is that most people need to really focus in on is that's okay. That thing is called life. And you can still grow through all that, meaning you can still become successful with all those burdens on your shoulders. So it's like don't let it handicap you because if you go back through history, there has been somebody else that lost their mother. There has been somebody else that has been in depression and got out of it. There has been somebody else that thought they were the brokest person in the world and was able to build up, right? So just learn from history of just human beings. And just know you can grow through anything, a lot of things. And of course, there are some things that'll kill you, right? Like we're all justified in just sometimes life is really tough. But what I guess the only thing I'm trying to tell you is don't let it handicap you. You can still grow. And I tell my son, just because you grow doesn't mean all the hardships are gonna go away. You could be a millionaire with hardships, you could be a thousandaire with hardships, you could be a zeronaire with hardships, right? But it's much easier to cry in a really nice Mercedes Benz. You know what I mean? So it's like,
I don't really cry, but I believe that to be true.
yeah, you know what I mean? So it's just something I thought I would share because rarely on these types of meetings do people talk about the personal struggles of life, just the mental, like fuckery of your mind, you know, and you can grow through any of those situations. I've seen people do it. You can read about people doing it, and like whatever that struggle is for you, and they're all different and they're all justifiable. Just don't let them handicap you from building a better life. I like what Tony Robbins says is like progress equals happiness. And if you're stagnant, it's going to be very hard for you to be happy. You have to develop yourself. The progress is you developing yourself, whatever that is, you know, and if you do that, I think you'll be a much better person to be around for all of us. You know, it's like Jim Rohn said, I take care of me for you if you take care of you for me, right? And that way we're in circles where we're all trying to get better. But imagine having a boat where everybody's rowing and then we have this one person that says, I don't want to row because I just don't. Well, now you're not doing it. Don't do it just for yourself. Do it for the people that you can help that are going to rely on you. People that may be outside of your family, right? So just keep getting better and, don't it's okay to cry for a day. It's okay to cry for a month. It's not okay to cry and be sad your whole life, right? That's when depression takes over completely.
Thank you. Let's go to Leo.
Sure. So I just wanted to just take a step back from everything you guys are saying, which is 100% true and prevalent. And what I've learned in my life is that the development of myself only happens when I have meaningful purpose, right? Otherwise, no action will ever be taken, right? So I circle back, I'm a lover of Jim Rohn. That's where I could, kind of rewrote that quote, that not exactly the way he said, but he has this seminar that's available on Google that I would recommend people watch. It's Jim Rohn's Guide to Goal Setting. It's probably an hour long, but it walks you through an exercise of thinking back like you're a child, when what you believed you could accomplish was limitless, right? You didn't know the world was going to beat you up when you were a kid, and you're like, I'm going to be a professional athlete, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be this and that, right? We believed in these things, tried and true. And what happens is as we grow up, life beats us up and people tell us that we can't, or you hear you can't, or no, you can't do this. And we start to develop this mindset that we can't achieve certain things. So if we go back and take a step to define what matters to us, what do I want to accomplish? Why do I want to get in shape? Why do I want to be healthy? Why do I want to live longer? Why do I want to make all this money? And when you put all of this emotion behind why you want something, your behaviors start to naturally shift in that direction, because it's been brought to the front of consciousness as something you really, really want. Any goal you don't accomplish is because you didn't really want it. It's just that simple. So everything that Dave and Arthur are saying is true, but I truly believe it starts with a step before that, which is defining purposeful goals and then attacking them. So just wanted to throw that in there. So
Great
Jim
share.
Rohn's Guide to Goal Setting.
I put that in the chat for anybody who wants to check out Jim Rohn's Guide to Goal Setting. Ilya, what do you have for us?
What's up, everybody? David, that was
What's up?
awesome. What's up? That was great, dude. Really powerful stuff. I'm glad that I got to hear that today, so thank you. I wanted to kind of just riff off of one thing that you guys are talking about. I'm listening to this book it's written by the guy who did Panera, Au Bon Pan. I think the book is called Know What Matters, or something like that. I'll drop it in the chat when I'm not driving. But basically, he's talking that happiness is not really it's not something that you it's not a pursuit. It's not something that you should pursue. It's that it's a result of your actions. Okay, that your actions are going to lead to happiness, right? That's not something you can go and buy. It's not something that you can achieve other than by having the consistent actions to achieve that outcome. So your habits are what you guys are a lot of times talking about, right? You guys cold called and that led to something, right? It wasn't these are the actions you guys were taking And I think that that's a lot of times for me, what I think we all struggle with sometimes is like we want happiness to just be achievable instantaneously, but it's a result of the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis and being consistent. Okay. So I'll try to find the book and I'll shoot it over to you guys. Highly recommend it. But go kill it today. I got to run, but love you guys.
I put the book in the chat. Thank you for sharing. That's a great share. I didn't pay all of these people to share these, but I feel like the comments are so resonate with how we started the call, right? It's all about changing and improving. And this is the first quote we wrote down that we talked about today. You cannot change your life until you change what you do every day. And that's what Ilya's talking about, is like taking that action, right? Right. And like Leo said, you got to find your purpose, because you need reasons to get out of bed in the morning, right? So all of these things are so powerful, and I think everybody who shared, whether you shared it in the comments, whether you shared in person, that was awesome. I hope everybody got a lot out of this call. We got about 5 minutes left. I'm gonna stop the recording now. I'm gonna stick around for about 10 minutes if anybody